Let's kick Apple around, okay? Because you don't see this very often. Stock downgraded today to a sell at Maxim, okay? Target 190, they say, and I'm quoting from their thing, proprietary survey data and analysis lead us to expect 14% below consensus iPhone revenue in the fiscal second quarter of 2020, 6% below for the entire year of the fiscal year. All this optimism about iPhone, right? Now, newfound optimism because these reports of the orders, of the production and stuff like that, and yet you have Maxim throwing some cold water on all of that. What do we do with that? For another stock, by the way, that's been at an all-time high.
Look, I appreciate the viewpoint. I never mind when an analyst comes out and says sell. It's differentiated because we see so few sell recommendations. I don't believe that that iPhone 11, and we're not going to know because they don't report units anymore, is going to be the great thing that everybody sees. It's very difficult to do the channel checks in these companies, so I'd be curious about his information. But again, I'm not going to sell it because I'm going to have to pay taxes on what I sell. And protecting it by selling calls against it gives me limited play. I still think the 5G cycle is going to be the biggest upgrade, not for just them, but I was reading reports on yesterday. Qualcomm sees it as a $12 trillion market.
But at what point is that in the stock?
It's not in the stock yet. It's not in the stock. Because they haven't even launched it. They
no,
just
I know, but
told
you don't think
suppliers.
the stock has run the way it has, even in the face of questions about iPhone because of 5G expectations?
No, not at all.
I think it's.
You go ahead and then Brendan.
I suspect it's a accumulation story. And you mentioned three names that you would hold if you were in a mutual fund: Disney, Walmart, Apple. Apple is the one name that I still see as being significantly being accumulated. Institutional holdings of Apple run generally somewhere around 60 to 65%. In January, that fell below 60%. So money managers are still out there buying into Apple, and that's the one name that is going to give you the exposure. If you think about it, what has Apple really done fundamentally this year that's distinctive versus prior years? I would argue not very much. It's been more about Apple performing in an environment where fundamentally there's not much there.
It's the stock performance, not the company, because they had down revenues, down earnings. It's been flat for a while. So it's a momentum market going to brand names. That's one of the brand names they're going to.
Yeah. I think there's been some distinctive things happening with Apple, though, since this time last year when the company announced they were no longer going to report unit sales of the iPhones, in that we've seen services grow, and that's become a bigger contribution. We also saw last quarter that gross margin improved sequentially, even as the company sold more lower-priced iPhones. So it suggests that there has been a little bit of a change, and it silences some of those naysayers out there. Also, with regard to the multiple, it is trading as slight premium to the market, but I would say that's where it should be trading, likely, relative to the size of the company and the health of the company.
So the analyst is coming up, Pete, on the exchange, right?
Okay.
What do you do with this call?
I appreciate the call, but the 190 price target.
What do you appreciate about it?
Well,
appreciate it? What do you mean you appreciate
I'm being
it? What does that
kind.
mean?
I'm trying to be as kind as I can because this is an analyst
You
who
don't
had
have to be kind. I mean, you appreciate it. What
well,
does
it's
that
an
mean?
analyst who had a hold on the stock, who now put it at a sell with a price target of 190 with the stock trading at 260. So I'm trying to be as kind as I can, other than to say wrong, and wrong, correct? So what are they? I think the problem also is the focus. And I've said this now for a couple of quarters. As soon as the iPhone dropped under that 50%, of the revenue, or right around that 50%, even call it. That was a big game changer for me because it finally started to get some of the analysts to start looking at something other than the phone. Because I don't think the phone has been the story. You got to go where the growth is. And if the growth is in services, in wearables, in AI, in AR, which those are coming down the
right,
pipe.
But you still have to have some level of growth in iPhone.
Well, I think that will continue to slip more than you guys maybe think. But I think the idea of when you put services and wearables together, and you got 20+% in services and 10+% in wearables, those are growing. And you know what? The margins are better there. So there's a combination of a lot.
You still need the cell phones.
You need the phones.
I get the services.
You need phones. I get it. And that, yes, it feeds to the whole thing that we talk about all the time, the ecosystem. That is the ecosystem.
Can I give you the psychology behind this call as a former research director of a large investment bank? The research director comes to the analyst and said, look, you've got a hold on this stock, and you had a price target of 190. It's now traded up 25%, whatever, in the last few months. You've either got to get off the hold or you've got to go to a sell if 190 is still your price target, because there's significant downside there. And so that's what I'm guessing drove the analysts to come out with a sell on it.
Okay.
As Munster says, Services are at the core of Apple.
I feel like I should have been laying down on the couch, paying like an hour.
You should
paying
lay
for an
down
hour
the
for
couch.
that.
You should lay down on the
Psychology
couch,
of the call.
but for
New
other
segment for you, the psychology of the call.
Psychology of the call.
You know how much people pay for that insider call like that?
Judge, it's the multi-cameras, the 3-camera set in particular on the highest end phone that's causing a lot more data to be stored on the phone. Can't handle it, so they got to put it up on the cloud. That's all additional revenue for Apple. Full stop, end of story. That is growth in an area where, as Pete said, they have their best margins in that.